5, just in time for John. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, everyone. This virtual meeting is compliant with the Ralph M. Brown Act as amended by California Assembly Bill number 361, effective September 16th, 2021, providing for a public health emergency exception to the standard teleconference rules required by the Brown Act. The purpose of this is to provide a safe environment for the public, staff, and planning commissioners while allowing for public participation. The Planning Commission meeting is being broadcasted on Comcast Channel 27 and the city's YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/BrisbaneCA. The agenda materials may be viewed online at www.brisbaneca.org/meetings. All written comments submitted before 2 p.m. of the day of the meeting have already been provided to the Commission and available for public inspection at the front lobby of City Hall and online at www.brisbaneca.org/meetings. Any writings received after the agenda has been posted, but after 2 p.m. of the day of the meeting will be available online at the start of the meeting at www.brisbaneca.org/meetings, at which time the materials will be distributed to the Commission. For those who did not provide written comments, a call-in telephone number was provided on the agenda, which can be viewed online at www.brisbaneca.org/meetings. The phone number and instructions will also be provided during the meeting. Participants in the Zoom webinar may make their comments through Zoom. Please note that Zoom participants will only be able to access the Commission verbally. I will announce time limits for public comment during the particular item. Staff, could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Gooding?
Here.
Commissioner Lau? Commissioner Lau is muted.
Here. Sorry.
Commissioner Patel?
Here.
Commissioner Patel?
Here.
Commissioner Saison?
Here.
Let the record show Commissioner Funky is absent.
At this time, I would ask for a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
The motion passes with 4 ayes. At this time, I'd ask if any members of the public or any commissioners would like to pull an item from the consent calendar. Staff at this time will post the text and call number on the screen. If there are any Zoom participants that would like to pull an item from the consent calendar, please raise your hand by pressing the raise hand button or by pressing *9 on the phone if you're calling in. Staff will start a timer for 30 seconds for members of the public to ask to pull an item. While we're waiting, does anyone on the commission, do any of the commissioners, would they like to remove an item from the consent calendar?
Ten seconds. $30 has elapsed and no one has raised their hand.
Thank you. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to adopt the consent calendar.
So moved.
Can I get a
Second.
scissor? Staff, could we please have a voice vote?
Commissioner Gooding?
Aye.
Commissioner Lau?
Aye.
Commissioner Patel?
Aye.
Commissioner Saison?
Aye.
The motion passes with 4 ayes. Oral comments on items not on the agenda can be called in by calling the teleconference number in the next 1 minute or made by participants in the Zoom webinar. Staff will display the call-in number on the screen, and any Zoom meeting participants should raise their hands to indicate to staff that they would like to address the Commission on items not on the agenda. Callers must press *9 to raise their hand. While we're waiting for that minute, I do not believe that we have any written communications. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Fifteen seconds. All right, 60 seconds has passed and no one has raised their hand.
Thank you. So at this time, we'll move on to old business. There seems to be no old business. And moving to new business, I'd go to item B, the 398 Klamath Street Design Permit 2022-DP-3 NCRO-2 Neighborhood Commercial District, downtown Brisbane. Staff, could we please have a presentation?
All right, you chair. As introduced, this agenda item is for a design permit to modify the existing apartment building at 398 Klamath Street. Brisbane Municipal Code Chapter 17.42 requires a design permit when a substantial modification of an existing principal structure for which no design permit has previously been issued is proposed. The same character defines the term substantial modification to mean an alteration of the exterior of the structure to the extent of significantly modifying its basic design, elevations, size, appearance, or relationship to adjacent properties or structures as determined by the planning director. The applicant proposes to modify both street-facing exterior facades of the existing apartment building, and the scope of work includes new paint, new windows, and removal of existing wood siding on the southwest corner of the building and at street level along Visitation Avenue to be replaced with new stucco. The application does not alter the location or orientation of the existing building, nor does it increase or reduce the scale and intensity of the use. No modifications to the building's access or landscaped areas are proposed either. The 7,170 square foot subject property is located within the NCRO2 district at the northeast corner of the Visitation Avenue and Klamath Street intersection and is developed with a 4-story multifamily apartment building. The NCRO2 district features a combination of commercial, single-family, and multifamily residential and mixed-use development typical of the historic development pattern. The subject property also borders the R1 residential zoning district to the east. As you can see from the photo on the left, the building originally had a stucco finish with a masonry block on the lower level of the Visitation Avenue and Klamath Street facades, and an exposed exterior staircase at the southwest corner of the site when constructed in the 1960s. The exterior stairs were subsequently enclosed and, along with the masonry blocks on Visitation Avenue and Klamath Street, finished with wood siding. In 2010, the building received a minor facelift when the original stucco on the building was redone. Most of the exterior windows were replaced, and the new stucco was repainted. Both the wood siding and windows on the southwest corner of the building were not updated in 2010. The photos on the right show how the structure appears today. It is painted in a beige color palette, and the wood siding used to enclose the exterior stairway is deteriorating. And while it is difficult to see in the photos, note the wood accents and original green metal railing on the upper level walkways on Visitation Avenue. The proposed alterations to the exterior facades would allow for a contemporary architectural modification to the existing design. Alterations to the Visitation Avenue and Klamath Street frontages would replace most of the wood siding on those facades with stucco that matches the existing stucco finish on the building. The new stucco would be painted in earthy natural accent colors, and decorative lines would be applied to the new stucco. The lower level of the Visitation Avenue facade would be treated with horizontal lining with 18-inch spacing and painted sage green, while the enclosed stairway portion of the building would receive vertical lining with 24-inch spacing and be painted dark brown. All windows located on this southwest corner of the building would be replaced with new windows and receive new dimensional foam trim to match both the existing windows and window trim on the primary facades. As previously stated, the application would not alter the location or orientation of the existing building or increase or reduce the scale and intensity of use. No modifications to the building's access or landscaped areas are proposed, and no new exterior lighting would be installed. The substantial modification of any existing principal structure in the NCR02 district is subject to the granting of a design permit, and a detailed discussion of each required design permit finding is attached in Exhibit B of Resolution 2022-DP-3. Said findings are generally summarized on this slide. The project is located within the NCR02, and as the orientation, location, and use of the building is unchanged, it would remain compatible with the range of residential, commercial, and mixed-use development that is contained within this zoning district. The project's height and scale are nearly identical to other multifamily buildings within the district, and the proposed facade modifications preserve many of the building's existing features, including recessed and open building entries, window layout, and building materials, including all the existing smooth stucco and natural wood accents and metal railings on Visitation Avenue. It introduces new earthy colors of sage green and dark brown, and horizontal and vertical design accents to the body of the structure. The horizontal lining at street level on Visitation Avenue and vertical lining applied to the southwest corner of the building, which can be seen from both Visitation Avenue and Klamath Street, provide a level of depth and visual interest while remaining harmonious to the overall design. The varied finish details and accent colors also break up the building's massing as seen from both street frontages, while providing a contemporary and updated look. Overall, the proposed modifications to the building's exterior elevations complement Brisbane's vernacular architectural heritage and presents a contemporary architectural style that incorporates warm, natural colors and simple aesthetics distinct from but complementary to surrounding structures. This concludes staff's presentation with a recommendation of approval of Design Permit 2022-DP-3 via adoption of the attached resolutions. Any questions at this time?
Thank you, Chair Maya. Does Commissioner Saison, do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Lau, do you have any questions?
No.
Commissioner Gooding, do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
I also do not have any questions. At this time, I would open up public comment, and I don't know if the applicant is here to speak as well.
Yes, the applicant's here and I've just promoted them. Hey, Ben, do you have anything you want to add to the commission?
Great job presenting it, and if you guys have any questions, let me know.
I don't have any questions. Commissioner Gooding, do you have any questions of the applicant?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Lau?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Saison?
No, thank you.
Staff, do we have any written communications on this item?
We did not receive any.
Okay, so at this time, can we start the timer for 30 seconds for closing of the public hearing?
Usually we do 2 minutes for.
Okay, sorry, 2 minutes, sorry.
Yeah. One minute. 15 seconds. All right, 2 minutes has elapsed and there are no hands raised.
At this time, I would make a motion to close the public hearing. Do I need to make a yeah, I do make a motion to close public hearing, right?
Mhm.
Yes, at this time, I'd make a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Staff, can we please have a voice vote?
Commissioner Gooding,
Aye.
Commissioner Lau.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Commissioner Saison.
Aye.
The motion passes with 4 ayes. At this time, we'll begin our deliberations period. Does anyone want to make any comments off the bat?
Well, I think it's pretty straightforward. The changes are an improvement. So, unless anybody else has comments, I just make a motion just to adopt.
I agree with everything Commissioner Saison just said, so I would second that motion. Staff, can we please have a voice vote?
Commissioner Gooding,
Aye.
Commissioner Lau.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
And Commissioner Saison.
Aye.
The motion passes with 4 ayes. At this time, I'll read the appeal procedures. Anyone may appeal the actions of the Planning Commission to the City Council. Except where specified otherwise, appeals shall be filed with the City Clerk not later than 15 calendar days following the Planning Commission's decision. Exceptions to the 15-day filing period include the following. Appeals shall be filed with the City Clerk within 6 calendar days of the Planning Commission's actions for use permits and variances, and 10 calendar days for tentative maps and advertising sign applications. An application form and fee is required to make a formal appeal. For additional information, please contact the City Clerk at area code 415-508-2110. This time I would move to the second item on our new business. That's item labeled C, 575 Tunnel Avenue Interim Use Permit 2022-UP-3 C-1 Commercial District Baylands Interim Use Permit. Staff, could we please have a presentation?
Yes, thank you. Let me pull up a share screen here real quickly. The applicant requests approval of an interim use permit for Transdev to continue use of 575 Tunnel Avenue as a parking lot and dispatch facility for paratransit shuttle vehicles. Transdev provides transportation to elderly and disabled persons in San Francisco under a contract with San Francisco MTA. The request is for a 5-year term. The site was first approved for this use in 2010. It was then revised and approved again in 2011 and renewed in 2016. Following the 2011 approval, the site was improved with asphalt paving, site perimeter fencing, site lighting, stormwater drainage swales, and placement of an approximately 2,100 square foot modular office building with utilities. Under the last interim use permit, the total site area was reduced from 2.5 in the original permit to approximately 2.3 acres to allow for a driveway to the Avis rental car storage yard, which is to the rear of this site. Under the 2010 and 2016 approvals, approximately 3/10 of an acre within the rear area of the site was not included since it was in use as a landfill settlement monitoring station that's shown in gray on the screen here. The station was decommissioned in 2018, and Transdev is now requesting that parking be allowed within this area as well. That would effectively increase the usable yard area from 2.3 acres to 2.6 acres, which is 1/10 of an acre larger than the originally approved area of use. The area of the former monitoring station is surfaced with gravel, while the rest of the yard is paved with asphalt. Transdev proposes to maintain the yard in its existing condition. And I just realized I have a chat open. I don't know if you can see that. The permit approvals in 2011 and 2016 were for cars and minibuses up to 25 foot long. And that is also the current request. So no change there. Operations are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, although the primary hours of operation would be between 4 a.m. and 10 p.m. And also that has not changed. The existing dispatch office accommodates approximately 22 employees at the site, and security is provided by that on-site Transdev personnel. The parking limit for the 2016 permit was up to a maximum of 125 fleet vehicles, and the current application would increase that to allow for up to 150 fleet vehicles. The typical routing is to and from the north to serve Transdev San Francisco passengers. However, there is no prohibition on use of the roadways south of the site, nor is such a prohibition proposed. Regional road or traffic conditions and off-site trips from bus maintenance may necessitate such occasional routing. With this current application, Transdev also requests approval of their placement of a 40-foot long truck trailer for storage, a storage unit. And that's already been placed at the rear of the site on the gravel area. And that's for storage of cleaning supplies in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. This was to accommodate intensification of their cleaning of the fleet vehicle interiors. Note, however, that vehicle maintenance activities such as washing of the exteriors of vehicles and mechanical repairs would still be required to be done off-site. 6 findings are provided for interim use permits on the Baylands, and this application meets all of the findings as detailed in the agenda report. I won't repeat all of that now, but it's there for your reference. But I'll note that the project fits with the industrial character of the neighborhood, and it provides an important service, housing vehicles for mobility of elderly and disabled persons, while also reducing vehicle miles traveled. The site has been operating for approximately 10 years, and the minor modifications requested with this application are not seen as significant changes to the past operations. The application was routed to the city departments as well as the water board and county health, and no objections were raised. And to date, no comments or complaints have been raised by the public for this continued use. I'll note that following a conversation with the city engineer, a condition of approval has been added to address potential dust generation or dirt tracking in that area of the former settlement station. And that again is at the rear of the site. In closing, staff recommends approval of interim use permit 2022 UP3 to allow continuation of the use given the conditions of approval which are provided in the draft resolution. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take those.
I have a question.
Okay.
Ken, the Google Bus permit, how long does that parking lot use, will go on for?
Google Bus was for approximately 3 years. They had a 2-year initial term followed by another year.
So when will it end?
Google Bus is ending now. They are removing their vehicles this week, if not already done. So
Okay.
yeah.
Just a question in terms of like traffic, even though it doesn't seem like it would affect traffic very much. And then my second question was, where's the drainage, for on that property? Like, if there was like engine oil leaks or coolant leaks or something like that, and before they took it to their maintenance yard, where would, that fluid drain to?
Stormwater
Or wash out to.
drains, there's a drainage swale that runs along the front of the site. And so that's where stormwater would go. If they had a leak on site, presumably they would manage that on site and get some absorbent material out there to clean that up on site and not let it get to the stormwater.
And maybe one last question. Do you know? I don't know if you know the answer to that. Like those minibuses, like that you showed the picture of, are those approximately like 15 feet in length, or are those longer? The 25 foot?
They range from 22 to 25, but they also have passenger size vehicles, so it's a mixed fleet. The applicant may be able to answer better what the current proportion of the mix is, but yeah, what you're seeing there in the photo, I actually measured that one just to get a sense of it, and that's a 22 foot.
Oh, that's a 22 foot. Okay. And you probably already mentioned this already. That area of where there's gravel and they were going to put a trailer on that. Are they going to pave that or just going to keep it as gravel?
They have proposed to keep it as gravel and monitor it and keep the dust suppressed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Saison?
Yes, thank you. So Ken, in your report, you said that this is a 24/7 operation. So, and activities mainly between 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. So I'm assuming that's when vehicles come in and out. What is going on during the other hours?
During those other hours, they do have a few trips, I understand, but it's very few. And I think other than that, it's probably primarily security to keep track of the buses. Transdev personnel, I believe, are here tonight, and they could probably answer a little bit more detail. But I think, well, yeah, my understanding from their project description was that they have a few trips at night, but a handful.
And they don't have they don't have a log as to when the vehicles are leaving. Like, do we have any idea, like per hour, how many vehicles are leaving at a certain time?
They have provided a table that actually not in the staff report, but it was not something that well, we can provide that to you if need be, but I don't know that they have I think it's an estimate versus a log. I don't know that they have been logging actual daily trips.
I can ask them. I mean, I know you said they've been doing this for 10 years and there's been no complaints. I just wanted to make sure, kind of an idea, like how busy they are. Are they more busy at certain day in the morning or whatnot, just to get an idea of it. So.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gooding, do you have any questions?
Just a couple. Was there a schedule or a deadline by which the owner of the property was supposed to have requested a renewal of this permit?
They should have renewed it late last year, and they did apply in this earlier this year. There was quite a bit of back and forth before we brought it to the planning commission, but
What I'm getting at is was the owner is UPC, correct?
UPC is the property owner. That's
Right.
correct. Yeah.
Or
BDI.
Yeah, whatever their corporate.
Right.
Is there a particular reason why they were apparently late in asking for renewal of the permit?
That's a good question of the applicant.
Understood. Thank you. The log, and this may be a question of the applicant as well. Obviously, we don't want to repeat the issues that we had with the Google parking lot permit. And the overriding issue with that one, in my opinion, and my perspective on it, was the hours of operation combined with their the possibility of routing other than north of Lagoon, and that's seems to be a potential issue here as well. I noted in the application that they represent their routes as always being from this lot north up to San Francisco, and so this may be an issue or a question to the applicant as well. That's fair enough. But what do we know about the reliability of their routing being typically or pretty rigorously northward rather than southward?
We have not received complaints about routing southward, but also there has not been a prohibition on that. And as you mentioned Google, and as we saw from Google, I think it becomes problematic because there are times that the buses need to go out for maintenance, in which case, if it's always north, they might have to go north to go south, go north to get on the freeway and then double back and go south. Also, road closure issues or traffic issues. I think it just becomes a problematic situation. I would draw your attention to, there's a condition of approval that the city engineer could require traffic study and mitigations if traffic becomes an issue. And I think that is not simple, but it's a simpler way to address the issue than trying to put prohibitions on traffic trips like we did with Google.
Yeah, I think that my questions are I think I've exhausted your contribution to this. I think my questions are for the applicant. So thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Ken, I have a couple of questions. One of the issues with the Google parking lot was the light pollution caused by the lights. How have we remediated any potential? Is there going to be an increase in light pollution from this particular project? And if so, how are we remediating it?
There's no change proposed to the lighting at this site.
And the other question I have is, we are looking at so one of the things that I think you included in your presentation was that there have been no complaints, but we're also going to be increasing the number of vehicles by like 10-15%. Is that right?
Right. It could be up to 150 from the previous maximum of 125.
Okay. So how do we know if they get to 150? How do we know that wouldn't have a negative traffic consequence? I guess we don't know. We just have to wait and figure it out.
Ken, this application was reviewed by the city engineer, was it not?
It was.
Did he identify a potential traffic impact with 25 more vehicles on that particular site? Thank you.
Does anyone on the commission have any more questions for staff on this? This time I'd open up public hearing, including potentially if the applicant is here.
Yeah, I'm promoting Stephanie, Sam, and Luis said he's from BDI.
Hello, Hello, Luis. Would you like to make any comments off the bat?
Good evening, President Patel and Commissioners. My name is Luis Quadra, Berg Davis Public Affairs, here on behalf of BDI, and joining me is Mary McLean, General Manager with TransDev, and we're happy to respond to any of your questions. And I have been keeping track of some of the questions during the deliberations, and I'm happy to respond.
Commissioner Gooding, would you like to start with your questions?
Sure. I guess my basic question is that I don't know how aware you are of our previous experience with the Google bus slot issue, and one of our concerns is the impact of any increase in your activity on traffic on Lagoon Road, which in turn impacts our citizens and our commuters. What can you tell us about any steps you take to keep traffic out of that area? I saw in your application, the red and the blue lines that say that you come from the north down to your site and you go from your site back up north to the freeway. Is that a rigid rule your drivers are to follow, or how does that work?
Sure. Let me try to do my best to address your questions, and then Mary can certainly pop in. First, I want to be clear that in terms of increasing our request to 150 spaces, currently TransDev's usage is post-COVID usage is 70 fleet vehicles. However, they are still maintaining their pre-COVID fleet of vehicles. So those spaces are going to be used just to maintain the existing fleet of vehicles that are not being utilized. Our usage is actually down to about 70 vehicle trips a day. Additionally, TransDev has additional storage needs, as they will be bringing in new buses that were procured pre-COVID. So again, this is primarily the increase is for storage, not for active vehicles. In terms of the routes, TransDev's customers are in San Francisco, and its vehicles travel on Beatty to enter the 101. There really is no reason for its vehicles to travel south on tunnel, other than the occasional maintenance trip, or, to be quite frank, its drivers going to Brisbane for lunch. It really is not part of our active use.
Thank you. So I wasn't clear about this before, and I appreciate your touching on it. Are all of TransDev's customers in San Francisco proper?
Yes, they are.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. That's all the questions I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Sayasan, do you have any questions of the applicant?
Yes. So yours is a 24/7 operation. What are you doing beyond the hours of 4 a.m. to 10 p.m.?
Sure. Mary, can you speak to operations between those hours, please?
Yes. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes.
Great. I just needed to make sure it was working. Thank you. Yes, Commissioner, we have very limited operations during those off hours that you mentioned. We do have an office staff person, one person that is inside the facility that monitors radios with those few drivers that may be out within the San Francisco service area. And we have a small staff of personnel that monitors the lot, somewhat security, and also does the interior cleaning on the vehicles, wiping down the vehicles inside. And other than that, unless there would be a maintenance situation, we don't have any buses actually pulling out or pulling in to the lot, from 10 p.m. until 4 a.m. they're out in the service area, the few that we have. And sometimes that's as few as one, and it's normally only just a couple.
Okay, so during the off hours, did I hear you right that there might be some even maintenance done during that time?
And not at this facility at all, but like
Okay.
if a driver wanted to exchange buses, per se, that would be the only exception. They would be, you know, a very rare occasion to pull a bus into, oh, and I apologize, I'm not sure why my camera's not on. They would pull a bus in and then pull another bus out. But that, again, a very rare occasion. Other than that, there is no normal pull-ins or pull-outs from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. at all at the facility.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Lau, do you have any questions of the applicants?
No more questions from me.
I just have maybe a few questions. You currently said that there are 70 buses that are being in use, and what are your projections and timeline for implementation of all 150 buses being used?
Mary, do you want to address what those projections are? I know that's not in the near term for sure.
Of course. Thank you, Chairperson Patel. That's a difficult question to answer. When COVID hit, our demand decreased by 80-some%. And it has not risen to the level of pre-COVID, even at this point. The growth has been where, you know, we are barely at 2/3 of the actual trip demand that we did pre-COVID. That has remained fairly constant now for months. We are very actively engaged with not only clients, but agencies that represent them. We have no immediate news of any increases coming in our demand, so we don't really expect any immediate changes. But the fleet size of the fleet was purchased, and procured through federal arrangements, and that takes quite a while. So we had not moved to reduce the fleet size in case long-term the trips would, return to the pre-COVID numbers. And I should say the pre-COVID numbers were very consistent, like for more than a decade. It didn't vary much. And so that number was very constant. We are confident that should, over the next several years, the levels return to the pre-COVID level, they would not go beyond that.
What was the pre-COVID level?
Approximately 120 vehicles, I think, in and out, as opposed to, the number we have now. And then, the additional number of parking spaces are, to have sufficient spares so that service would never be impacted.
Thank you. Commissioner Gooding, you have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. And I raised this issue a little bit with staff, and I want to raise it with the applicant. Really is BDI or UPC, because they're the owner of the property and they're the ones requesting the permit. My understanding is that this application for renewal is not timely, that their permit would have expired sometime earlier. Am I right or wrong about that?
That is correct. We apologize for our tardiness. It was an administrative oversight, and we have implemented safeguards to ensure it doesn't happen again. My understanding is that the application was submitted in April of this year, and then it's been going through the city's process. But our apologies, and we'll ensure that doesn't happen in the future.
Thank you for the response. I just, we're going to be dealing with BDI an awful lot over the next foreseeable future. You guys are part of Brisbane's future, for better or for worse. And I really just want to emphasize that we need to really do this right. I'm not thrilled that this stuff gets handled whenever. And I don't know if the rest of the commission feels the same way, or whether we need to put some safeguard in place in this particular permit as a condition. You know, we need to review this timely, because that's our job, is to make sure that we're keeping up with changing conditions and stuff that happens as things change. And I don't know how the rest of the commission feels about any need for any conditions to be added to the permit about timeliness of renewal. I'll just throw that out to my fellow members.
I share Commissioner Gooding's concern about that, but I just assumed that, I mean, do we need to put conditions? Because I think the city already has mechanisms in place for dealing with things like that. Correct, John?
Yes, that's correct. You know, certainly the applicant has, you know, responsibility for this, but the city staff, you know, it's also on us to make sure these permits are monitored on a timely basis as well. And we're also have been implementing safeguards to make sure that we're getting out ahead of these permits. And so, yeah, we're aware of the problem that's come up in the past, and we're very cognizant of making sure these don't happen again in the future.
And if I just may respond to your comment, Commissioner Gooding, I just want to assure you that, you know, we apologize. We take the city's planning process very seriously, and, you know, moving forward, we will do much better.
Thank you. I you know, I won't beat a dead horse, but suffice to say that you guys are going to have much huger, much bigger, much broader things coming up that are going to require compliance with deadlines. And I think this commission is going to have to be hyper vigilant about this sort of stuff. So please do what you can.
Understood. Thank you for your comments.
Are there any other questions by the commissioners? Okay. At this time, are there any questions by the public? Did anyone call in?
I'll put the screen up now.
And this is for how long?
This is a 2 minute.
2 minutes.
I believe. I have a question for staff while we're waiting. Is it generally a 5-year permit, or is this a longer permit? I felt like Google was shorter.
It's typically a 5-year permit. That's what the code allows for. Google also had requested 5 years, but theirs was shortened by the commission decision with their on the night of the application.
One minute. Ten seconds. All right, 2 minutes has passed. No one has raised their hand and no calls.
Thank you. At this time, I make a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
we please have a voice vote?
Commissioner Gooding,
Aye.
Commissioner Lau,
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Commissioner Saison.
Aye.
The motion passes with 4 ayes. At this time, we can start our deliberations. Commissioner Saison, would you like to start?
Well, obviously, there's some concerns here. But I think for the most part, I'm okay. And I guess if there's issues that come up, it's something that, if they violate any of the conditions, it's something that I'm sure that we can revisit. Staff can address with the applicant. It seems that since they're, they deal with San Francisco only, so I don't think there's an issue of them going south. So I don't think the routing, of their vehicles is going to be an issue. Traffic, that also doesn't seem to be an issue. I think our engineer looked at that. So, and my main concern was their activity, beyond, any 24/7 activity I was concerned about, but it seems like it's just kind of a small staff there just to make sure things are running. So, so I think overall I'm fine with what they're proposing.
Thank you, Commissioner Saison. Commissioner Lau?
I don't have any glaring concerns, but a question for staff is to follow up on this. So if a permit expires and then an applicant asks for a renewal, is there a certain grace period where they're allowed to, reapply without applying as a new applicant? And is that what happened here?
So essentially, we don't have a grace period per se written into the code. If they have expired or they apply for a permit, we will go ahead and process that to the Planning Commission, and otherwise we could undertake enforcement activities to have them cease use of the site. So if they were indicating essentially that, if or staff was gathering that they're not cooperative, then certainly we would undertake those activities to remove them from the site.
Thank you. No, I didn't have any major concerns about that. Thank you.
Commissioner Gooding?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think this is, this is analogous, but not exactly the same by any means as the Google issue. It's a laudable or a good, social use of this otherwise fallow land to provide transportation for folks that you need, and I get all that. As a matter of process and procedure, I am as just one of 5 commissioners, somewhat dismayed with UPCs or BDI's lack of attention to process. We have, really big issues coming down the pike with that entity, and I really want to deliver at least my personal opinion that it's going to have to be better than this. This is a little thing, and it didn't get calendared. It's just doesn't bode well for the larger process, and I don't object to this particular permit. I'm just delivering my my perspective on the broader issue. Thank you.
I would agree with you, Commissioner Gooding. It seems as though there has been a pattern of behavior from BDI where they do not sort of either follow up or apply for things on time. And I would just say also in agreement with you that, and Commissioner Saison and Commissioner Lau, it's a little bit different than Google because most of the trips are to the north, whereas Google was making trips both north and south, where their clients were both north and south to their clients being employees. So I think that there is less concern about traffic going south. And for those reasons, I would make a motion to adopt use permit 2022-UP-3.
I'll second it.
Staff, can we please have a voice vote?
Commissioner Gooding?
Aye.
Commissioner Lau?
Commissioner Lau, you're muted.
Apologize. Aye.
Commissioner Patel?
Aye.
Commissioner Saison?
Aye.
The motion passes with 4 ayes. Anyone may appeal the action of the Planning Commission to the City Council, except where specified otherwise. Appeals shall be filed with the City Clerk no later than 15 calendar days following the Planning Commission's decision. Exceptions to the 15-day filing period include the following. Appeals shall be filed with the City Clerk within 6 calendar days of the Planning Commission's actions for use permits and variances, and 10 calendar days for tentative maps and advertising sign applications. An application form and fee is required to make a formal appeal. For additional information, please contact the City Clerk at area code 415-508-2110. This time, I'll move to the next item on our agenda, which is items initiated by staff.
I don't have any items this evening. I just want to wish the commissioners happy holidays, and that's it for me.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Are there any items initiated by the commission? Seeing none. I hope everyone has an awesome holiday and a great New Year's. There's the cancellation of the regular meeting on December 22nd, 2022, and we will adjourn the Planning Commission meeting to the regular meeting of January 12th, 2023.
Thank
See
you.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.
See
Happy
everyone
holidays.
next week.
Happy New Year.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Just really quickly, I'm going to be out and not able to log in January, and so